everyone. With everything going on with the coronavirus right now and everyone talking about vaccination and are vaccines good, are vaccines bad, I want you to see where their end game is, where they're going with all of this. I want you to see what they're going towards. They want a universal shot. It's a universal flu shot, and it will cover all these different strains. Okay? So all this entire time, it was, well, it's only so many percent effective. So they still, people are becoming reluctant because they're saying, oh, there's no way this is even going to work. It's not effective enough for me to take the chance and go take a vaccine. And then there's also everybody like us that will never take a vaccine. Okay, but they can still trick the masses by saying, look, this flu shot is universal. Sorry about everybody that died in the past. Sorry about all of the shots that people took that they didn't need to because they weren't effective. But this one's different. This one will cover everything. But let's get into this video.
A new push for a universal flu vaccine today. This as we learned from health officials that 3 more people died of the flu here in Connecticut this week. That increases the total for the season up to 14. News 8's Ken Pierce joins us live this midday telling us why one Connecticut lawmaker thinks much more can be done to fight the virus. Good afternoon, Ken.
Good afternoon to you, Keith. And every year, scientists change the flu vaccine to try to target the strains most likely to show up. But what if they didn't have to do that? Connecticut's senior senator went to a healthcare center in East Hartford to talk about why more money is needed to develop a universal flu vaccine.
The best way to save money and lives.
Do you like how he just said save money before he said save lives? Yeah, that seems like exactly that's their narrative. Our lives come second. Then he continues to talk about how much money. This is all about these vaccines and money.
The best way to save money and lives is to get a flu shot.
We are reminded of that every year, but every year we also hear questions about whether the flu vaccine will be effective.
Every year we develop a new vaccine. Every year the docs and the researchers try to predict, part of it's guesswork, what the strain will be next year.
You've probably heard flu types described as H1N1, H3N2. The H and the N are proteins on the virus. There are 18 kinds of H, 11 types of N. Months before flu season starts, scientists pick a few H and N combinations most likely to show up and design the year's flu vaccine to fight them. But some years a different combination shows up and the vaccine doesn't work with that H or N.
But a universal flu vaccine would be effective against all the strain and would eliminate the costs and unpredictability of developing a new vaccine every year.
A year ago, the National Institutes of Health put out a plan to create a universal flu vaccine that would target the things all the strains have in common instead of targeting those H's and N's. Senator Richard Blumenthal says he's already helped secure $250 million to fund that research, and now he's introduced the Flu Vaccine Act, which appropriates $1 billion over 5 years for the universal flu vaccine. That sounds like a lot of money, but the flu has already hospitalized close to 1,000 people in Connecticut, and 14 have died this season.
And watch their body language as well. Both of them have very, very strange looking body expressions. The way that he stands, the way that she stares at him nonstop. Maybe it's just me, but it just did not look normal in any means.
And it's all the more reason that it's incredibly important that we do develop a universal flu vaccine. And it is fundamentally a cost saver if we can develop that. It will significantly lower healthcare costs.
But that is still a long way off. It's going to take a lot of time as well as money to figure out a universal vaccine. And in the meantime, experts say it's still a good idea to get the current flu shot. Flu season does not reach its peak for another 2 weeks.
And as they sit here and talk about the universal flu vaccine, we all know that they have to do what? To get it finally to where they'll be giving it to everybody, they have to do testing. Lab testing, and then all the way up to human testing. So that's with a universal flu shot. But how many of the other vaccines that have been given out to millions of children are also not effective? also are going to need some kind of a universal shot. It seems to me they're leading to a universal shot for everything. How many more kids have to get a needle stuck in their arm?
A 5-day polio vaccination campaign targeting over 2 million children has come to an end today.
Health authorities are intensifying efforts to get children vaccinated. They're targeting more than 8 million grade school students this time. So health authorities are bringing in vaccines to schools for free. They call this Back to Bakuna.
Once again, there they go. Free. We all know very well that anything free from our government is not anything that benefits us.
A back-to-school immunization program of the health department. Parent Chiki Durwin made sure her child completed her measles dose. This time, she accompanied her daughter to a school in Taguig City to avail of a free anti-cervical cancer vaccine. The health department is giving free vaccines to protect against measles, rubella, tetanus diphtheria, and human papillomavirus or HPV, which could cause cervical cancer. Durwin says her fears stemmed from the Dengvaxia controversy. But Health Chief Francisco Duque says more patients like Durwin are regaining confidence in the vaccines.
I really should like to believe that the scare is over. The vaccine confidence rate, there was a survey outfit, about 94% said it is effective. The second metric was 89% believe the vaccines are safe.
As of June 2019, the number of measles cases is at more than 38,000. Calabarzon has the highest number of cases, followed by the National Capital Region and Region 3. The Health Department has finished giving vaccines to almost all of its targets for age 6 to 59 months. But it still has a long way to go to get more than 8 million students vaccinated. Only 12% or 1 in every 10 students has received coverage against measles.
Mababa pa rin. That's why we still need to aggressively pursue our national immunization program.
The Health Department says while there are now less cases of measles, it can't lift the outbreak status just yet. Duque encourages parents to avail of free vaccination in schools. Children need consent from their parents before they can get vaccinated.
Measles, mumps, rubella, and many other illnesses can all be prevented by a quick jab in the arm. Health officials say it saves the lives of up to 3 million people per year. But they also say that work is being threatened by a growing anti-vaccination campaign. Now scientists and doctors have met in Brussels to fight back.
It is unacceptable in the 21st century. Our children are dying from diseases that should not exist. We have to put an end to this intolerable situation. It's incumbent on each and every one of us.
Smallpox is no more thanks to vaccines. Polio has been pushed to the brink of eradication thanks to vaccines. Once feared diseases like diphtheria, tetanus, measles, and meningitis are now easily prevented thanks to vaccines.
The World Health Organization is pointing to what it calls the myths about vaccines. They include diseases disappearing before vaccines were introduced. Medical professionals say vaccines have had a significant impact. And to the criticism of most people who get diseases have been vaccinated, WHO says most are 85 to 95% effective.
But only recently have we seen a mass anti-vaccination movement, and it's probably to do with the social media that's become so important at the moment in the way that people get their news. And now we have something which is spreading very rapidly, which is out of control.
This anti-vaccination campaign group in Washington, D.C. says the freedom to decide to vaccinate is a human right.
When you take away a person's freedom and medical choice, mandating vaccines for education, that is coercion.
Back in Brussels, Fergal Brennan is seeking to continue the advocacy work his sister did before she died of cervical cancer.
The voice of one girl can change everything. Laura passed away in March of this year from cervical cancer, a cancer that is almost entirely preventable. She was 26 years old. She dedicated the last months of her life to raising awareness of the importance of the HPV vaccination. She did it because if she had the HPV vaccine, it's likely I would not be here today. She would be with us.
I was diagnosed with cervical cancer.
Fergal says his sister received support, but also abuse when she tried to convince women to take the HPV vaccination. And he says it's fear based on mistrust and misinformation that this summit seeks to end.
That's all it takes, according to them. A quick jab in the arm. We got to be really careful what we say right now, so I'm going to leave it at that. Thank everybody for watching. Protect your family, protect your kids. God bless.